Well, good afternoon. There is a lot to report, some new information. First, as a recap about yesterday, and that is, as you know, the President of the United States was here in the state of Texas, first in Corpus Christi, to talk to local officials about challenges they were facing because of damages incurred in their various counties, especially the very hard-hit Aransas County, Port Aransas, Rockport area, and the desperate needs they have to get power restored as well as to begin the rebuilding process. And then the President was here at this operations center and got to see what we do. His commitment was firm, strong, and unequivocal, that he was going to do everything he could to ensure that Texas will be restored as swiftly and as effectively as possible. As we all know, there has been rapidly changing conditions in the state of Texas, while at the same time we are beginning the rebuilding process around the coastal Bend region. And while we are dealing with what is now receding waters in Harris County and the ongoing evacuation as well as safety rescue process in Harris County, we're now also dealing with catastrophic conditions in southeast Texas. And those conditions are a threat to life and property. And that is required that we take measures to do all we can to help protect them. And I will cover part of that in various different categories as I go through this discussion. First, let me tell you that since I last announced the status of the National Guard in the state of Texas, I last announced that we had 12,000 National Guard members activated. That number has been increased to 14,000. The reason for that is because some members have come back from deployment overseas, others who were unable to participate because their own homes had been subject to flooding or damage. They are now able to help participate. Bottom line, we are now up to our highest level of the number of Texas National Guard members who are deployed to help our fellow Texans deal with these challenges. We are also, as we speak, coordinating with the National Guard Bureau to deploy an additional 10,000 National Guard who are being deployed here from other states. So that will take us up to a total of approximately 24,000 National Guard who will be deployed here in the state of Texas. Now, some of those will be arrayed across the greater Harris County area. We are immediately deploying far more to southeast Texas to deal with the emergency conditions that people are facing in southeast Texas, and we will continue to deploy more west of the Harris County area all the way through Victoria to the coastal Bend region. We are also getting immediately 200 boats and 200 vehicles from the Department of Defense to be assigned where needed. As you might imagine, the most urgent location for that is in the greater Beaumont, southeast Texas area, as well as ongoing needs in the greater Harris County area. I have asked for and received an expansion of the number of counties added to the federal disaster declaration. It has gone from, that's the increase, is now the total is 33 counties are part of the federal disaster declaration. We've added 14 counties, and I want to list these counties so that people in these counties will understand that by being included in this federal disaster declaration, individuals as well as local governments are going to be eligible to receive aid from FEMA. First, I'm going to list 11 counties that are have what I call a complete federal disaster declaration, which includes both individual assistance as well as public assistance. These new counties include Colorado County, Fayette County, Hardin County, Jasper County, Jefferson County, Montgomery County, Newton County, Orange County, Sabine County, San Jacinto County, and Waller County. There are 4 counties added to the federal disaster declaration where public assistance is available, but individual assistance is not. The reason for that is these 4 counties were not the subject of disasters in the way that these other counties are, but they are aiding in the support of the disaster. And they include Dallas, Tarrant, Travis, and Bexar County. These are all counties that are providing a tremendous amount of public assistance in dealing with these challenges, such as sheltering evacuees, providing law enforcement and other assistance to these efforts. I want to emphasize something very important that I'll come back to several times during my remarks. For the people in these counties I just listed, especially those 11 counties that are going to be receiving individual assistance, you need to write down this website address. It is disasterassistance.gov. Disasterassistance.gov. If you are in one of the counties that's part of the federal disaster declaration, you will be eligible for immediate support from FEMA that you can register to receive at disasterassistance.gov. And I'll talk to you more about that later. Let me talk to you a little bit about weather, where we are, and where we're going. First, as you know, the rain that was received in the greater Harris County area has set an all-time record. Now that rain has moved to the Beaumont region in southeast Texas. Approximately 15 inches of rain have already fallen in the area, and there's more to come. The worst is not yet over for southeast Texas as far as the rain is concerned. There will be ongoing challenges both during the time that rain continues to fall as well as for approximately 4 days to a week to come. Let me mention specifically flooding conditions that will continue to be a challenge for people in the area. It includes the Sabine and Neches rivers. There will be record flooding in the lower Neches, and the flooding there may last a week. Major flooding will continue for a few days in the Beaumont region, in the lower Brazos River region, where there could be extensive flooding for about a week, if not longer. In the lower Colorado region, there should be flooding for the rest of the week. Over in Victoria and Cuero, there should be ongoing flooding for a few days. It's important for people in all of these regions, as well as in every county that's affected by storms, that you continue to listen to and heed local warnings about evacuation. So listen to, heed, and follow evacuation notices. And then, of course, on top of that, always please remember, and that is, if there is flooding around your area, do not drive into that flooded area. Many of the lives, if not most of the lives, that have been lost in this devastating storm so far are lives that have been lost because of people who were driving vehicles into flooded waters. Do not drive your vehicle into flooded waters. Some information based upon certain categories. First, the Texas National Guard. They are active in 25 locations across the state. As I mentioned, we now have 14,000 state National Guard deployed with more than 600 vehicles, 500 boats, and 100 helicopters. They have been doing most recently air rescue missions in the Beaumont region. And in the past week, they have made more than 8,500 rescues, more than 26,000 evacuations, and more than 1,400 shelter-in-place and welfare checks. They will continue in the most immediate time period search and rescue operations and aiding shelter operations across the state. Some information about the PUC and access to power. There is an urgent need to get power restored in the coastal Bend region, in particular in Aransas County, Port Aransas, Aransas Pass, locations like that. The power provider there is AEP, and the update for AEP is there are still 107,000 outages. That is an improvement since the last time I reported, which I think was around the 138,000 level. But the good news is there are many new power crews that are now working in the region to reduce the power outages. Since the last time I reported, there are two other power companies with reports. Our numbers show that CenterPoint has a little bit more than 90,000 power outages, and that would be primarily in the greater Harris County region. And also Entergy has more than 81,000 power outages, and they are all working as swiftly as possible to restore power. For the Texas TCEQ, I want you to know that they've been working with the EPA on a daily basis to address environmental-based issues. They've deployed rapid needs teams to assess needs that have arisen in certain areas, including water and wastewater assessment teams, especially focused in that regard on the Corpus Christi, Ingleside, and Rockport areas. A report from the Texas Parks and Wildlife. They have 5,000 evacuees at state parks in the state of Texas. Most of those are in shelters, cabins, or mobile homes. A report from the Department of Public Safety. There are more than 2,000 Department of Public Safety who are deployed to targeted regions, and they will continue those deployments to ensure the safety and security is maintained in those regions. From the Texas Forest Service, they continue assisting local fire departments in all of the affected regions. From the Department of Health, they have deployed multiple healthcare teams. To give you an example of what they are doing, they have set up 2 emergency room departments at the George R. Brown Center in Houston, as well as they are setting up a medical shelter at the new evacuee center opened up in Harris County at NRG. New information about transportation, and that is there are transportation buses that are available that will be transporting evacuees from the Southeast Texas region and taking those evacuees to locations around the state. Many of those who will be transported from the Southeast Texas region will be taken to the Dallas region, but not necessarily all of them. The information that we've compiled statewide is that there are more than 32,000 people currently in shelters in the state. Importantly, we have approximately 30,000 beds that are available for sheltering as needed, and we continue to work on additional backup plans in the event that more than that is needed. Some updated information from FEMA that just came out that shows how important it is for everybody impacted by the storm to register. there have been 210,000 registrations for individual assistance, and FEMA has already approved more than $37 million in individual assistance. And for those who have not yet applied, again, I give you the address to go to, which is disasterassistance.gov. One of the things most important for me is to help you the best I can, those who are affected by the storms, is to get you the assistance you need as quickly as possible. So I strongly urge you to sign up at disasterassistance.gov so that you can register to begin to receive the money and other resources that you need, that you can get from FEMA for the next transition. One thing that FEMA is also doing that is very helpful, these shelters and evacuation centers are intended to be short-term facilities. We want to quickly move people from evacuation centers like a convention center into a location where there are living rooms and bedrooms and bathrooms that people can use as a family unit. And already there is transition housing, which means post-evacuation center, for almost 2,000 rooms. And we want to provide more as soon as possible. And FEMA has already provided more than 5 million meals. With that, I'll take a few questions.
Governor, watching what's happening right now in Beaumont and Fort Arthur, does it seem overwhelming right now for everyone?
It certainly is overwhelming for the residents and people who live in that region. For the state and the responders, it's just part of our ongoing emergency swift response to make sure that we address and take care of the needs of the people, putting protection and safety of life first.
Are you satisfied or are you pleased in seeing how sheriff's departments, police departments, other places that have not been affected in the state, caravan after a caravan heading down the road? Obviously, are you a little amazed by seeing that kind of outpouring? Plus, the average person just pulling a pass boat.
I'm not amazed because we've seen this before. Texans really step up and protect and aid their fellow Texans, whether you're a first responder or just an individual. Neighbor helping neighbor, friend helping friend, stranger helping stranger. Texans have really stepped up. That said, I do want to applaud all of the first responders, all the sheriff's offices, all the police officers across the state for doing such a terrific job. I really applaud the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the Houston Police Department for the way that they've handled such an overwhelming demand upon their agencies. But the same can be said for sheriff's offices and police departments in all of the affected areas. I applaud them all for going above and beyond the call of duty, ensuring that they have protected Texans and maintained order. And when you consider the magnitude of this catastrophe, what they have achieved is just stunning.
Any cases of price gouging? What's your message in regards to that, sir?
Price gouging is not only reprehensible, it's illegal. And the Attorney General of Texas is taking swift and aggressive action to prosecute price gouging. Understand this, if you price gouge anybody, you could be subject to penalties of up to $25,000 per incident. If you're a business, you can be put out of business by the Texas Attorney General if you dare try any price gouging. It's un-Texan, and we will not tolerate it.
Any estimate about what the amount the Congress may be asked to appropriate to cover this?
When you look at comparisons, the population size and square mile size of the area impacted both by the hurricane swath and the flooding is far larger than Katrina, far larger than Sandy. And if I recall correctly, and I will not have a precise number here, but my recollection is that the Katrina funding was well over $100 billion. I want to say it was over 125 billion. So if we go on a parallel standard, it should be far in excess of that amount. I want you to know that I have been working with Senator Cornyn, who's on Senate Finance, who's providing me the categories of funding that were provided for FEMA. And we're working to use those categories as a general outline of what will be provided.
Is this the largest deployment of federal and state Guard troops in state history, to your knowledge?
I am unaware of there ever being another incident in the history of the state of Texas where there's been this much deployment. As you know, I've deployed 100% of Texas National Guard, and then on top of that, we are bringing in well over 10,000 from outside. And understand this, the amount of National Guard that we have in the state of Texas now will only grow because we're operating in stages here. We are in the emergency response stage right now. As we go through the process, as the water recedes, it is essential that we have as many people as possible to continue to go door to door for the rescue and recovery mission and the restoration of order mission. And National Guard is experienced at doing this, and so I would anticipate, but can't say for certainty right now, but I would anticipate that the number of National Guard deployed in the state of Texas will increase from here.
For weeks, months?
I would say for months.
Governor, there's some problems with fuel.
You've gotten a lot of questions. Let's spread it around.
What about fuel? Is it too soon for fuel rationing?
What we are working both with the EPA as well as energy companies as well as other authorities to ensure that we're going to get fuel out as fast as possible. We have a priority right now. Fuel priority must be for first responders so that we can keep people safe and protected and rescued. And once we finish with the first responder needs, then we can get into other issues. But having talked to leaders of energy companies, they are working as swiftly as possible to ensure that fuel operations will be restored quickly.
House Bill 1774 is set to take effect September 1st. Some have expressed concerns that that might affect the amount of the way that people can get reimbursed for claims for their insurance for home damage. There's been a petition to change the effective date of that bill. Can you talk about what your concerns are?
You need to understand that any claims along those lines are absolutely bogus. And I'm going to read you, to make sure you have it, the statement issued by the Texas Department of Insurance. The Texas Department of Insurance is reassuring Texas policyholders that storm claims will be paid and that the agency will aggressively enforce state laws and policy provisions to protect victims of Hurricane Harvey and the widespread flooding that followed. The claims filing process and deadlines aren't changing September 1st. House Bill 1774 does not change how property owners file a claim, doesn't change deadlines to file claims, or how insurers process claims. It also does not apply to claims with the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association or the National Flood Insurance Program. Property owners with covered damages maintain the same rights to an insurance claim whether they file their claim before or after September the 1st. The Texas Department of Insurance is sending staff to affected areas this week to help victims file claims and has extended hours for its consumer helpline. The Texas Department of Insurance helpline is 1-800-252-3439, and it's open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, as well as 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. here's the reality of what is driving all of this. The implementation of this bill does not affect the ability of any policyholder from being able to file a claim or have that claim paid. What it does do is it empowers policyholders to keep more money in their pockets as opposed to paying money to lawyers who may handle their claim. Because all it really does is require a notification by a policyholder to the insurance company before a policyholder files a lawsuit. And what that does is that spurs the insurance company to get that claim paid faster.
Two more questions. Death toll at this point.
Say it again?
The official death toll.
I don't have that.
We're not in the first place.
Yeah, we will defer to the local jurisdictions and what they categorize as a death related to the hurricane.
Okay.
Governor, have you made any decision about whether to accept the help that Mexico has offered?
Yes, I have, and we are. And we have, I don't have it with me here, we have a list of aid and assistance that they have offered to provide that we are accepting. I don't have the list, but I can tell you loosely, it involves things like vehicles and boats and supplies and food.
One more, and then we have to go right here.
Just a question. I know some of the people that are affected are also undocumented. With SB4 coming into effect in 2 days, some of them are afraid of even asking the police officer to come out and rescue them. I mean, you really can't control what each police will do. What is your comment to that? I mean, what would you tell those people?
Well, the director of the Department of Public Safety made clear the other day, and that is when people are going to evacuation centers, when people are seeking help or anything like that, no one is being asked about their status. We're here for one purpose, and that is to save and help people who are here.
Governor?
Thank y'all very much.
We have to go. I'm sorry, we're really late.
All right, you've been listening to Governor Greg Abbott. He is at the